Hi, how you doing? This is Priya Besbarwa, counseling psychologist and also a head psychologist here at Socially Soul. And I'm here today to make a video to help you with your CUET UG exam preparations. So your exam dates are already out, and I'm sure you all must be feeling really scared because even after your 12th board exams, most of you did not even get time to study. And you might feel that you have already studied, so now again to study once again might be a little difficult as well. But then again, worry not, because Socially Soul here, we have created an entire notes section which is specific to the CUET UG question paper, right? So whichever 8 topics, the subunits that have been recommended by the CUET UG final entrance examinations, we have created notes only specific to that. Right. So this is something that will be definitely very helpful for you. The reason why I'm doing this video here for all of you is to discuss which are the most important questions unit wise. All right. So here I will first break down that how many units are there. So in total there are 8 subunits, right, that you need to study from. Every unit has their own subtopics as well. So from these subtopics also, let me tell you which are the most important questions. I will also explain some of the concepts which I know that students usually find very, very difficult, but everyone here, worry not. I'm sure you all will clear it. I understand that that 1 mark of negative marking can be really upsetting and can be also scary. But there is also 5 marks for correct answers, right? So the answers that you're very confident with, you can directly mark them. For answers you're not so confident with, you can appear for them towards the very end, when all your answers are done, and then you are relaxing a little bit, and then you can start with answers that you're not very sure about. Okay, so let me share my screen. And yes, for whoever wants access to these notes, so on the comment section here, you can directly just say that I am interested. The same we will put on the caption also, I am interested, and the team will reach out to you. All right. Okay, perfect then. So let me share my screen and then we can start. So like I mentioned, there are 8 units, right? So the first module or the first unit you can say is variations in psychological attributes. Now here there are subtopics as well. There is individual differences, assessments, intelligence, theories, differences in intelligence, culture and intelligence, emotional intelligence, and special abilities and creativity. These are your topics in the first unit, right? Now what you need to remember here is that even though your question paper is MCQ, with that mindset, if you feel that I don't have to learn the long answers, then trust me, you will be missing out, because MCQs can even come from the longer answers, right? It can always be a little descriptive in nature as well. Okay, so that is something you'll have to be mindful about. So firstly we start with how do individuals vary, or what is the variability factor in the human nature. So this is basically the understanding of that people, they vary from each other in physical attributes as well as psychological dimensions, right? Then next you have that what are individual differences. In here also, see, you might have a statement, or you might have 4 different statements, and the MCQ question might be that what do you understand, or which is the correct statement for individual differences. So remember, there is an acronym which is DCVD, that is distinctiveness, variations amongst people in terms of their characteristics and behavioral patterns. Then we also have situationism. Situationism is how, because of various situations and because of various circumstances, people behave differently. Because see, we already have individual difference. That means you and I will be different from one another based on our characteristics and our behavioral patterns. Now, you and me, when we are only kept in a different situation, in that situation, also because of situational factors, we will behave differently. So, situationism and individual differences are the most common, most basic thing when we study about psychology. Why? Because that helps us remember that at the end of the day, every person is different from one another. In every situation, a person will behave differently. There is no one way of going about situations. All right. Then this assessment part of it is really, really important. So there might be MCQs regarding the domains of psychological attributes. So please be well versed with definition, uses, and examples of personality, aptitude, values, interest, as well as intelligence. Right. Then you also have assessment methods in psychology. So you have psychological testing, interview, case study, observation, and self-report. Here you need to understand the meaning of each of them. Right. Then we also have intelligence. Now see, intelligence itself is divided into 2 types here. There is information processing, and then there is also psychometric, right? So now just make sure which theory comes under which one. You need to also know the difference exactly what is psychometric. Remember, psychometric, it does not look at intelligence as having different branches. For psychometric approaches, it basically means that every individual performance will depend on a set of cognitive abilities which they possess, and they keep using those set of cognitive abilities only. In terms of when you're talking about information processing approach, it means that because every individual is also different, because of that, instead of focusing on how an intelligent person acts, we need to understand that what is the structure of intelligence of these people. Right here, information processing, it helps to understand that how people process intelligence by using intellectual reasoning and also problem solving. Okay, now again, I'll repeat once again. Just remember, in psychometric, you have unifactor theory. That means the one factor theory. This is one of the very first theories to be conceptualized related to intelligence. That comes for Alfred Binet. Right, then we have two factor theory by Charles Peirson. Which are the two factor? The general factor and the specific factor. Then we have theory of primary mental ability. So we do have an acronym here which is recommended, but then again you can use your own also, because see, you might have an MCQ which is talking about that which one of this four is not one of the primary mental abilities proposed by Louis Thurston. Right, so you need to know which are the seven primary abilities, and always remember the numbers, like primary mental abilities are 7, Howard Gardner multiple intelligence are 8. So these are some things to remember. Okay, then you also have level 1 and level 2 by Arthur Jensen. Then you have structure of intellect model by J.P. Guilford. Here again, there are three subtypes, right? Operations, contents, products. Remember, which is the difference between the each, right? So what we are talking about, operation means that how I will react, how I will behave. Me, the intelligent person, how I will use my cognitive abilities. All right. Contents means that which is the nature of material that I'm using to process this information. Either it is visual, it is auditory, it is symbolic, however. Products means now in which form I'm classifying the information or I'm processing the information. Either it is in units, either it is in a relation system, either it is by implications, right? Then these are your psychometric. The next is your information processing. Number one, theory of multiple intelligences. Howard Gardner suggested 8 types of intelligences. Now remember, intelligence is not a single cognitive ability, does not have a single cognitive ability. It has different types of cognitive ability, and people, we possess all of these abilities. It is just that it depends on who is using which skill set or who is using which subtype of intelligence for that specific situation. Remember, situationism also comes here as a part, right? Now we have linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, musical, body kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Then we also have the trichic theory of intelligence by Robert Sternberg. Here again, there are 3 types. Now, this is one of the very, very famous theories of intelligence, and this is also very common. Even in your bachelor's, even in your master's, you will have questions specific to this. Okay, then we have the past model. Here again, you need to know who are the psychologists who proposed it, which are the subtypes, what is the cognitive assessment test, the CAS, right? Then comes individual differences here again. So in individual differences, see, here they're trying to firstly explain that what is the evidence of heredity and what is the evidence of environment. So what is the difference here? So this table that you can see, no, the correlation table, learn the correlations as well. All right, then you have various assessment of intelligence. So Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon in 1905 had attempted the first measure of intelligence. This is something which is very, very common, right? You need to know this answer. Then second is what is mental age. Third is what is chronological age. Number 4 is who is William Sternberg and what is the calculation, what is the mathematical sum that they gave for you to calculate the intelligence quotient, right? Then this here, the one that you can see on the screen is extremely, again, very important. I know I'm saying everything is important, but then again, I'm just breaking it down in terms of MCQ, how you need to look at the questions, right? So you need to know what exactly are the IQ range and what is the descriptive level. So supposedly, if in your MCQ you have a question that it is in the IQ range of 80 to a person who has an IQ range of 80 to 89, what is the descriptive level? So you should be able to say that they are in low average of intelligence. Okay, the graph here is also simply explaining this table only. All right, don't get confused with the same. Then there is also intellectual deficiency and intellectual giftedness. You need to know what is the definition of deficiency. What are again the ranges for mild, moderate, severe, profound mental retardation. Then you also have intellectual giftedness, proposed by whom, what is the difference between talent and giftedness, what are the characteristics of a gifted child, and at the last again comes the different types of intelligence test. Now this again, had it been like a elaborate question paper for your CUET, definitely there would have been differences which have been asked. But then again, here also you can get MCQs. Like they can give you directly a statement that intelligence test, when it is applied at one person at a time, what is that intelligence? So it means the individual administration of intelligence test, right? So now remember, intelligence test can be divided on the basis of administration. That is, either you're doing it individually on a person or you're doing it on a group. It can also mean on the nature of items. That means either the questions that you're giving them are directly orally, they have to answer in a written form, that is verbal. Non-verbal is when they're using pictures. Performance is when they're having to use objects in order or different materials to perform the test, right? Then there is culture bias test and culture fair test. Culture bias test is, when a test that you're doing, it is something which is not appropriate for your culture. Like for example, if I am doing an IQ test which has been devised in the Western society, depending on their education system, and then you do it in India, it will not be culture fair. That means it will not give, or it will not yield results which are actually reliable. Why? Because the test itself is formed in a country which has a very different culture than ours. All right. That is the reason, in projective techniques, intelligence tests, there is always an Indian adaptation or a different adaptation, so that it becomes more culture fair, so that it does not discriminate people because of because of coming from because the main reason is because you're coming from a different culture. Right. Then what are the misuses of intelligence tests? Now this part is usually, it comes more for your bachelor's and master's part of it. Then here we have like a short note on intelligence testing in India. So you can just know like the basic MCQ that SM Mohsin, he adapted in the Hindi language in 1930. CH Rice gave the Binet's test. Now see, Binet's test is one of the very famous intelligence tests in Urdu and Punjabi. So you can learn the main words from here and see it's already highlighted here. So you can also access this sheet and it'll be really, really helpful. Then you also have culture and intelligence. So basically, what is the difference between technologically advanced society and less technologically advanced society? Difference between both of them. Then you need to explain intelligence in the Indian tradition. Then again, which are the different facets of intelligence? There are four facets of Indian intelligence, right? Cognitive capacity, social competence, emotional competence, entrepreneurial competence. These are important. Then emotional intelligence, this has been really, really important because so far a lot of researchers were on intelligent quotient, that is IQ, that how important it is. But recent researchers are focusing a lot on EQ, that is emotional intelligence. A lot of companies, for that matter, they actually measure your EQ before even giving you a job, because having EQ is extremely important. IQ is still something that, I'm teaching you the job role, you are able to do the job role because I'm teaching you. But EQ or EI is not something that I can sit and teach you. That is something you need to develop throughout. Hence, this is very, very important. Then, yes, then you also have various types of aptitude tests. So, this you need to learn different types of tests which are there. Then there is a basic this is like a short note on creativity and how is it different from intelligence as well. So this is more for your bachelor's level. All right. Now this was about your module 1. I hope this is clear, like which are the important questions that needs to be covered. Now we have module 2, right? Module 2 is self and personality. Now here again, these are the subtopics, cognitive of concept of self-esteem. Then you have personality, major types of study of personality and assessment of personality. So see, everything here in that notes for that matter is broken down for you to understand, right? So what is self, what is personality, understanding the difference between personal identity and social identity. Then what is the dual concentration of self? Then explain the various kinds of self. A lot of times people forget the biological self. They just write the personal self and social self, but biological self is also very important. So if they're asking you about the types of self, you should know which they are. Then there are also cognitive aspects of self and behavioral aspect. Cognitive aspect is self-concept, self-esteem, self-efficacy. Behavioral aspect is self-regulation and self-control. This is something that you can read through in the PDF once you get access to it. Then we have cultural self. What is the difference in the Western culture and the Indian culture? This can also come in an MCQ. You might also have a question on personality, and from the word personality, where is it derived from? Is it a Greek word? Is it a Latin word? So of course it's a Latin word which comes from the word persona. So back in the days, the Roman people, they would do a lot of theaters, right? So they would wear this different get-ups and different facial attires, like makeup and everything, and they would take different roles. So from there, the idea of personality came, that how we actually have different roles to play in different situations, and yet we carry those traits in us, which are foundational to us, right? So always, try to understand, because see, when you are learning from a word derivation, and you might think that why do I even need to write in CUET whether it came from a Latin, Greek, or whichever word. But why learning it is important, because then you can actually understand the word much better. You actually understand what is the given meaning of that. So if you're studying about personality for the first time, you will not think that, wait, what was personality, I forgot about it. That is not how you will think. You will exactly know that, okay, it came from a Latin word persona, right? Persona means what? Taking in different, like playing roles of an actor. So that's when you understand directly what personality meant. Okay, then understand what is temperament and disposition. Now, see, there are major approaches to the study of personality specifically: type approach, trait approach, interactional approach. Now, the subtypes of it are very important. So, in type approaches, a quick revision: there is a type given by Hippocrates, given by Charak Samhita, given by Sheldon, given by Jung, and also by Friedman and Rosenman. These are something you will have to know specifically. Type A, type B, type C, type D. What does it mean? So, like type A is more prone to CHD, right? That is something that again might come for your MCQs. Then you have your trait approaches, where again there are different trait approaches like Alport's trait theory, Cattle trait theory, and Eysenck theory, right? So here again, you need to know what each of the theory meant. Like for Eysenck, which are the first, he gave two dimensions, then a third dimension was also added. That is something you need to again know, right? So this part is again that you can read through. Now the five factor model of personality here is again very important. Paul Costa and Robert McRae had suggested the ocean personality, that is openness to new ideas, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, and neuroticism. Okay, then comes your psychodynamic approach here again, Freud. So you need to know the structure of personality, the levels of consciousness, the defense mechanisms, the psychosexual stages of development, and yes, so all of that obviously, and always remember that what is the basic difference between psychodynamic and psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is the specific theory that was given by Sigmund Freud. Psychodynamic approach, for that matter, it includes a lot of different theories which also come under psychodynamic, for that matter. All right, like for example, there is given by Carl Jung, by Karen Horney, by Eric Erikson. All of these are psychodynamic approaches only. But psychoanalysis is specifically the theory that was given by Sigmund Freud, right? So just also please understand defense mechanisms, right? You really have to know, like for example, a question can come that a person um, who has been scolded by their boss in the office, but because they could not react, then comes back home and screams at their children. So, which is a defense mechanism here? So, you should know that this defense mechanism is called what? It is called, I'm waiting for you all, but obviously it is called displacement, right? So obviously you'll get your MCQ options as well. It is called displacement, because where you need to take your anger, like, so I'm angry at my boss for screaming at me, but obviously I can't tell anything to my boss. So what do? I take that anger out on a family member, because I know that my family member will forgive me at the end of the day, or I know that my children are someone, because I am the authority at home, so I can still scream at them. It makes no sense and it's not justified, but that is how displacement works, right? Then you need to know about the psychosexual stages of development, what is fixation, what is regression, all of that. Then you have also different neo-Freudians. Who are the neo-Freudians? What are the therapies they give? Like for example, Eric Erikson gave the identity crisis understanding, right? Then apart from this, you have behavioral approaches. Now, which are the behavioral approaches? Who proposed which behavioral approach? What are cultural approaches? They might just give you an example and ask you that which approach of personality is this? Is this humanistic? Is this cultural? Is this behavioral? So you need to understand that as well. Here, specifically in humanistic, please understand the difference between congruence and incongruence. What is it that Carl Rogers suggested? What is it that Abraham Maslow gave, the Maslow theory, the hierarchy triangle, right? Then you also have assessment of personality. Here, why are assessment used? Which are the different types of assessment that you need to mention? Then yes, specifically for all the assessment, you need to know the objective answers, projective techniques, you need to know all of this together. Then you need Rorschach and block, you need PAT, you need picture frustration study, then there's sentence completion, draw a person. Right? Then you have behavioral analysis. So all of these comes under psychological assessment and projective techniques, right? So which are the behavioral assessments, which behavioral assessments are used, which are the limitations. Now see, you might think that what is the whole point of studying the three limitations? But in limitations, you have something known as a halo effect. You should know what halo effect is. You should know what recency bias is. You should know what middle category bias is. This is something you need to know, right? Then comes the third module, that is meeting life challenges. Meeting life challenges, trust me, is one of the most easiest modules for you. So you need to know the difference between distress and eustress. Eustress is the stress which is good for you, motivates you. Distress is basically that it starts interfering with your eustress, and it becomes and it causes your body's wear and tear, cause exhaustion to you. All right, then there is also nature of stress that you need to know. Apart from this, you also need to know the cognitive theory of stress by Lazarus. There is primary appraisal, there is secondary appraisal. So on what basis do we give an appraisal of primary or secondary? That we need to understand, which are the resources. This box that you can see, the general model of stress processes. This is in short what the entire chapter entails. So there are three types of stressors: environmental, psychological, social. Dimensions means which what affects your stress. So the more intense the stress, the more stressed you feel. The longer duration for which the stress is remaining, you feel more stressed, more complex, more unpredictable, more stressed you are. Right? Then personal characteristics means here that what exactly helps you in cope with the stress. That physiological, psychological, and cultural. Then you have which are the resources again which helps you, and stress appraisal, that means how you are viewing a stress, whether primary or secondary, depends upon your physiological response, behavioral response, emotional response, and cognitive response. So all that you study here, the signs and symptoms, all of this is basically a shortened understanding of the entire box. All right. Sources of stress are your life events, your hassles, and your traumatic event. Effect of stress again. So all of this in terms of MCQ you need to remember. Then the general adaptation syndrome, this model that was given by Hans Siley, when he did a research to understand that the human body and the animal body, they actually react in a very similar way while dealing with stress. So he wanted to understand that they're different, but why are they reacting in the same way? Why the main biology process is similar? So that's when he came up with the general adaptation syndrome, which has again three stages: alarm reaction, resistance, and exhaustion stage. Then you also have criticisms to the GAS model, right? Then you have stress and immune system, again, very, very important, that which is T cell, B cell, what are natural killer cells, which are antibodies, what is psychoneuroimmunology, which are the HIV virus, what is AIDS, what is the B cell produced, what is cytotoxicity. This is something that you need to know. Okay, then for coping with stress, also there are two strategies. One given by Endler and Parker, the other by Lazarus and Folkman. So don't get confused who proposed which one, because ultimately, even though the meaning remains the same, but then again, it's different, right? That in terms of who proposed what. Right, then you have stress management technique. You can quickly go through these techniques once, even though for the technique part the chances of it coming as a MCQ is very less, but then again you should know what these different types are, right? You need to know what are the three C's of hardiness, which is proposed by Kobasa, that is commitment, control, and challenge. Because this means that some people, they go through stressful situation, yet it does not affect them as much. So it basically means that they have a personality which consists of the three C's, the personality of hardiness. All right, then which are the skills and what are the skills that a person should have in order to cope with different stressful situation is something here. And yes, with that, chapter 3 is over. Now again, chapter 4, if you see, it's all disorders. So when you study, you might feel a little overwhelmed that there are so many disorders and so less time to study. But just understand that these disorders will actually, they're not very difficult. You just need to know what they mean, what are the signs and symptoms, if there is a comorbidity. It is literally what is mentioned in here in the notes. That is it. Now, see, most of the unit, the topics are directly taken from the NCRT textbooks. So I would recommend all of you to buy the NCRT textbook if you did not have it, because most of the questions will be common to the same, right? Then we have an introduction. Basically, it starts with what are the four Ds: deviance, distress, dysfunction, and danger, right? There are different approaches as well, right? So which are these different two approaches, the first approach and the second approach, what it means. Learn about which are the historical backgrounds in terms of 111 line, that there was Renaissance period, there was the psychological approach. So all of that demonology that needs to be learned. Then it comes to classification of psychological disorders. So one classification is the DSM, the other one is the ICD. Right? Then comes factors which underlie abnormal behavior, biological factors, genetic factor, psychosocial factors. Then under psychosocial factors itself, you have different models: psychodynamic, behavioral, cognitive, humanly existential. So you need to know which each of this model mean. The diathesis stress model is very, very important here. So similar to how you have the gas model, no, general adaptation syndrome in chapter 3, similarly, diathesis stress model is something which is very important for your chapter 4, that is the current model, right? From here, then starts your psychological disorders. So you have anxiety disorders. And see, every anxiety disorder is again broken down into specific parts, what it means. You have somatic symptom and related disorder. You also have dissociative disorder. Here again, what are the three types and how they're divided into this? You have depressive disorders as well. So here you need to learn about bipolar and related disorder. So what is the difference between bipolar 1, bipolar 2? What is mania? What is depression? Like the basic difference is something that you should know, right? Like for example, when we are talking about general features of suicide, if you see, then the stigma surrounding suicide continues despite recent researches, right? But there is also this understanding about that suicide seems to be more prevalent in certain section. Like for example, in Japan, committing suicide is more of like honor killing. It is not that it is not, but in a lot of Eastern culture, it is seen as a sign of weakness. In Western culture, it is seen as a signs of mental health concern. So then again, what are the different perspectives that are there? All right. Then how can you identify the stress in students? This part is really important. How could we help a student strengthen his or her self-esteem? These can also come as pointer. Then you have disorder in the schizophrenia spectrum, that is positive symptoms, negative symptoms, psychomotor symptoms. Each of them then have their specific other subtypes also, like delusions and formal thought effect under positive symptoms. Then you also have alogia, blunted effect under negative. Then you have catatonia in the psychomotor. Then neurodevelopment again, very, very important. Here you have learning disorder, autism, ADHD, and intellectual disability. Right? So here again, you can read through this. Then you also have ODD, you have conduct disorder, and these are some of the most common and prevalent disorder for that matter in India as well. You also have feeding and eating disorder that you need to go through. When it comes to your substance related and addictive disorder, here you just need to understand what is withdrawal, what is tolerance, and what is dependence and overdose. All right, this is enough for you to cover this part of it. Then comes the next chapter, that is the therapeutic approaches. You see, in 3 chapters, in 4 chapters only, there was so much to learn. But then again, in the module 5, that is therapeutic approaches, here you need to understand how each of the therapies work. So we are doing psychodynamic, behavioral, relaxation procedure, cognitive, humanistic, existential, biomedical, alternative. As a matter of fact, from alternative therapies, a lot of questions come. All right. So first we are learning what is the nature and process of psychotherapy, learn the characteristics, what are the goals. Then this part, the two components of therapeutic alliance, contractual nature, limited duration. This is very important. Unique properties are important. What is the difference between empathy, sympathy, and intellectual understanding? Then here directly comes types of therapy. This box is actually very important. Whether you are learning this specifically for CUET, or you are, also applying for maybe entrances elsewhere where you need to write down answers, like for example any other college for that matter, please understand that this box will be really, really helpful, right? And then later we just have like a elongated version of whatever was in that box. All right. Then we have psychodynamic, we have behavioral. In behavioral also, we have a lot of therapies that have been written here, which is very important. We have cognitive. Cognitive was given by two people. One is RET, the other one is RET given by Albert Ellis. Then there was by Aaron Beck, the cognitive therapy. Then we have CBT, one of the most famous types of therapies. Then we have humanistic existential therapy. Here, Gestalt therapy is very important. A lot of therapists now have been specifically practicing for Gestalt. Then we have biomedical therapy as well. And then comes the alternative therapies. Here, the type of yogas that are written, the meditation, the Sudarshana Kriya Yoga, all of this you need to know. The Kundalini Yoga, you need to remember this. And at the end, what does rehabilitation mean? And rehabilitation is for basically for who? Okay, then we have chapter 6. Now remember, until chapter 5, you had a lot of answers to remember in terms of like long answer questions, right? But from module 6 onwards, it becomes a little bit more specific. It becomes a little bit more generic. Like, for example, for it's not generic for that matter, it becomes more specific to what are the sub points of attitude formation, how is attitude change, what is prejudice and discrimination. Here honestly you will have a lot of questions for that matter. Even in your CUET will come from attitude and social cognition portion. Okay, so here we have explaining social behavior. So see, the explanation part is still something you can skip as of now because you are only learning for MCQ purposes for CUET. But you need to know what the subtypes of mean. You need to know exactly what the objective understanding means. Like for example, when we are talking about characteristics of attitude, what is valence, positive, negative? What is extremeness, what is simplicity or complexity, what is centrality? This all you need to know exactly. Then we have attitude formation and change. What is attitude formation, how can attitude be changed? So this again you need to know exactly word by word, like what are norms, what is exposure to information. Then influence attitude formation. One is attitude change, one is attitude formation. So don't get confused with the sub points of either of these. All right. So then we have attitude change or describe the process. So the concept of balance is there, cognitive dissonance, and another one that was given by the two-step concept by S.M. Mohsin. All right. Then factors that now influence attitude change. One was attitude formation, that means forming of an attitude. Then next is attitude change, that means your attitude is formed. Now you need to change that attitude. All right. So here comes the sub points of that. Then attitude and behavioral relationship. That what is the relationship? Also this study that was given by Richard Lapierre, who's an American social psychologist. He conducted the study on the Chinese couple in America and how people, they say they will not give room to them because at that point of time war was going on, there was a lot of discrimination against Chinese people. And yet, for that matter, a lot of people, they did end up giving rooms towards the end because they were being paid for it. All right. Then there is also prejudice and discrimination. What is the differences between prejudice, stigma, discrimination? Then you also have what are the sources of prejudice. This part is important. One is learning, social identity, scapegoating, kernel of truth concept, and self-fulfilling prophecy. There might be question on scapegoating and self-fulfilling prophecy as well. Okay, what exactly do they mean? Right? Then you also have what is social cognition. You need to know what is the difference between prototype and stereotype, schemas and stereotypes also for that matter. What is impression formation? How can impression be formed? That is again important. Then what is internal attribution of cause and external attribution of cause? This box that you can see, no, internal factors, external factors, you need to know. Then Weiner's classification of causal factors, this attribution, fundamental attribution of error. This is one of the most common phenomena of social psychology. Actor observer effect you need to understand. Then you have social facilitation as well. Then this study by Norman Triplett in 1987 is again important. So if you see everything that we have highlighted here, either be it social loafing also, all of these are very important concepts which may directly be asked as part of your MCQs. All right. So this is your chapter 6. Then you have your chapter 7, that is social influences and your group processes. So here you need to understand number one. See, the social influence and group processes, the kind of questions will be very similar to the previous, that is attitude formation and change. Here again, if you see, you have very specific objective questions that you can find. Right? Like for example, you can have that what are the characteristics of a group, or here you have difference between group 7 teams and also difference between audience. Then the reasons why people join group, for example security, status, self-esteem. They might give you like an option in MCQ which is not a reason. So in that case you need to pinpoint which are the reasons, which are not. Then why do people form groups, like for what reasons do people form groups, like proximity, similarity, common goals and motives. What are the stages of group formation? And it was Tuckman who recommended these stages. That again is important. Now, for example, a MCQ question can come that during which stage in group formation do people often have conflict? That is in the storming stage, because that is the entire meaning of the storming stage. That is, this is when there will be conflict, people get over conflict, and that's when they have the norm stage, right? Then you also have roles, norms, status, cohesiveness. What is the difference? Then you need to know what is groupthink, who recommended groupthink, from which war did groupthink was even taken from. Then what are the types of group, what are the difference between the types of groups, then what are the influence of group on individual. One is social facilitation, the other is social loafing. Then there are also experiments that were given in your books, right? So these experiments are also something that you need to know. Then what is the difference between conformity, compliance, and obedience, which are the specific experiments that were done for the same, which are the types of compliances, how does conformity occur, why do people conform for the first place, ash experiment you need to know. Then determinants of conformity, that what actually adds up to people to conform, like why do people feel that when majority is saying yes, it is actually you also end up saying yes, why are you conforming, right? That part. Then informational influence and normative influence differences, compliance, what is foot in the door, deadline technique, door in the face. Don't get confused with door in the face and foot in the door. It can get a little confusing, but just be very sure about the difference. Then you have obedience, who was the experimenter who gave the first experiment related to obedience. Then why should people obey, all of that. Then you also have competition and cooperation, differences between the same. Then how can you actually determine whether people will compete with one another or people will form groups and help each other. There are 3 points for the same. Then what is social identity, then there is intergroup conflict, how conflict occurs, and how you can actually resolve the conflict. So the sub points needs to be remembered. Like a direct question can come, what are superordinate goals? Right? So what are superordinate goals? These are goals which is beneficial for both the parties who are in conflict with one another. And when we focus on this common goal, that is when two groups are able to forget about the conflict and come on a mutual consensus. All right. So don't just learn words for the sake of learning, also understand what the word means, right? Then we have one of the last modules, that is structure in life. Here again, if you see, things are very specific. Here, your MCQ comes from more of like a higher order thinking question sort. All right. So first you need to understand the human environment relationship. Then you can go on to understanding the minimalist perspective, instrumental perspective, and the spiritual perspective related to your environment. What are the environmental aspects on the human behavior as well, for that matter? Then how do humans also influence environment? Because ultimately it's a dual relationship that we have, right? Which are the environmental stressors? So there is noise, pollution, crowding, natural disasters. You already have specific things also, like for example, they can give you a question related to the Bhopal gas tragedy of December 1984. So this is something you need to know, that exactly what had happened. For some people, crowding for that matter is not really an issue, but for some people it is. So then again, the difference is something that we can understand by just go through these notes, and it'll be really really helpful for all of you. Then we have natural disasters. What are natural disasters? How can natural disasters affect you? So you can talk about PTSD, that is post traumatic stress disorder. What are the signs and symptoms? How can you actually minimize the ill effects of a natural disaster? That is something you can learn. Then promoting a pro environmental behavior, that what can you do to actually help with your environment? Then there is poverty and discrimination as well. Then there are psychological characteristics and effects of poverty and deprivation. Here, all the points that are highlighted in yellow, no, you can directly learn the point. Then measures for poverty elevation. That what can you do on your level to actually help with poverty? Then what are the government initiatives which are already there? Because a lot of people, they are not aware about the government policies. But if we are also aware, we can help someone else, right? And what are the causes of aggression? You need to exactly know. Like for example, frustration. There is also a study on frustration, right? Then that study is frustration aggression theory, given by John Dollar. This is again something that you will have to exactly know. Then how you can reduce stress and violence is another important part here. Next to that is what are the factors related to physical well-being and illness, cognition, social cognitive factors, and behavior, right? And the last part of this is impact of television on behavior. Okay, that is with the end of your module 8. Now you have your module 9. So you can see your unit 9 is similar to your unit 8 only. It's like a continuation. It's not a very big model on its own. All right, here you just have what are skills, understand that. What are the basic, you can say that, psychologists, like effective psychologists, have three main sections: general skills, observational skills, specific skills. Which are the ones that comes under general skills, which are the ones that come under specific skills, which are the ones that comes under observational skills. Observation also, what is the difference between naturalistic and participant observations? You need to know all of this, and then you're good to go. Just remember, in characteristics of communication, you need to understand which are four characteristics, because this again is a common question for your MCQs. Types of communication, that is interpersonal, intrapersonal, and public. This is also very common question. Apart from that, how we actually communicate. What is the difference between hearing and listening? What is paraphrasing? What is role of culture? What is body language? What are the ways you can actually check the body language? That can also come in your MCQ questions. Then psychological testing. So see, you have already learned about psychological assessment literally in the very first chapter, right? So this is something that again you can go through to understand the psychological testing part. What are the interviewing skills? What are the formats of interview? So interview format is opening the interview, body of the interview, and then finally closing the interview. Now, what are the subsections to that, right? What are the different types of interview questions as well? And at the very last, you have counseling skills, which is literally one of the first things that you will study in your bachelor's and master's. So what is counseling? How does counseling help? What are the elements of counseling? What are the myths around counseling? What are the characteristics of an effective helper? Effective helper is what? Who are psychologists, right? So there are four qualities that are often associated with effective counselor. One is authenticity, positive regard, ability to empathize, and paraphrasing. So here again, understand the difference between empathy and sympathy. And towards the end, just learn what are the ethics of counseling. These are ethics which are often the code of ethics, basically, are developed by the American Psychological Association. All right. So yes, oof, we are done with the 9 modules. It was a very, very quick, you can say a thorough revision as well, so that you guys understand which are also the important questions. Now, here again, I will repeat, if you want the note section, you can directly reach out on the comment section below. You can directly say, I am interested, or you can just put your email ID and we will reach out to you. And yes, I hope you all scored really, really well in your CUET. I hope you all get through your colleges you have been dreaming about. And even if you don't get in the college of your dreams, like for example, um I did my bachelor's from Delhi University, but I always wanted Lady Shri Ram, because Lady Shri Ram is extremely commercialized as well. It is good, no doubt, but it's also commercialized. So I did not even know about other colleges. So I always wanted LSR. But then again, I did not get through LSR in the first three cutoffs, and I got into Indraprastha College for Women. Like, apart from LSR, I got into all the colleges, and I was not happy. Everyone in my family and friends are all telling me that, Spriha, you literally got in every single college of Delhi University for every subject. You only didn't get in LSR for the first three cutoffs. Like, what's the big deal? But for me, it was so daunting. But once I started finally with my bachelor's in Indraprastha College for Women, that was in North Delhi, I think, and I know for sure that, that was definitely the right decision for me. So it may not have been my dream college, but it was ultimately the same university. It was ultimately a college because of which today where I am. And, there is no way that I regret that. So please give a chance to the college that you get through. If you get in the college you want, well and good. Even if you don't, ultimately a lot of your education depends in your college is how you study. You will not be spoon fed. Your professors will not tell you that, study from this book or this book. They will not tell you that. They'll give you names of 10 books and you have to study. So, a lot of that depends on you, what effort you are putting, right? So, study a lot these days. Only a couple of days are left. Eat well, sleep well, and all the best to all of you. And I hope you will all crack through CUET. Thank you so much and bye.